Last year, on Record Store Day 2025, a unicorn was born. The release was the ultra-limited Record Store Day variant of the Wicked Part 1 vinyl soundtrack. Tied to Wicked Part 1, and it immediately became myth. Only a couple thousand copies were pressed worldwide. Not per country, not per major city, worldwide. You had to physically show up at a participating local shop on Record Store Day, hope your store even received a copy, and hope you were close enough to the front of the line to snag it. And the cover? Minimalist, stark, gorgeous. Just Elphaba and Glinda's hands clasped together against a black void. No glittering Emerald City skyline, no bombastic key art, just intimacy. It felt almost rebellious compared to the maximalist marketing surrounding the film. It looked like a collector's piece. I did not get one, because here's the thing. I love vinyl, I love musicals, I love Wicked, but I do not love camping outside a record store at 3 a.m. for the chance that my local shop maybe got one copy, maybe two. And as predicted, by that afternoon, the golden geese were on eBay for hundreds of dollars, sometimes 5 times the original $40 price. And that's where the frustration kicks in. Record Store Day was created to boost sales and community engagement in an industry that's been declared dying about 17 times since Napster. The idea is beautiful. Support local shops, create exclusive releases, bring collectors together. But when you press a wildly anticipated soundtrack tied to a global blockbuster musical and you only produce a few thousand copies, what exactly do you think is gonna happen? This wasn't a niche indie band with a cult following. This was Wicked, a generational Broadway property turned major motion picture starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. The soundtrack was so popular, it was cultural oxygen. There were already multiple vinyl variants available at wide retail. Standard black vinyl, emerald green pressings, pink Glinda editions, retail exclusives at major chains, picture discs, signed editions. People who didn't even own record players were buying the vinyl. That's how big it was. The soundtrack became decor, status symbol, and fandom badge all at once. So when Record Store Day announced a hyper-limited variant, that was flipper bait. I partially blame the record companies. Why knowingly underpress something that will obviously sell? This was guaranteed demand. Press 10,000 copies, press 20,000, make it exclusive to independent stores if that's the goal. But don't create artificial scarcity so extreme that the only winners are the scalpers. Because here's what happens when you underpress. 1, everyone knows it's underpressed. 2, that knowledge increases perceived aftermarket value. And 3, even people who don't normally flip records think, well, I could. It becomes less about loving the music and more about flipping the asset. And yes, flippers on Record Store Day suck, but the system made it real easy that year. I've seen an interesting model in other collector spaces, especially with Pokémon cards. Some smaller game shops and even official stores like Pokémon Center locations in Japan have policies where if you buy a box of cards at MSRP, they remove the shrink wrap at the counter. You can still enjoy the product, you can still collect, but you can't immediately resell it as factory sealed for triple the price. Some shops even allow you to keep it sealed, but you pay resale pricing. It's simple, it's elegant, it protects the hobbyists. Imagine that for Record Store Day, a must open to purchase policy. You buy the record, the store slices the shrink wrap, you walk out with an open copy. If you truly love collecting sealed vinyl, fine, go buy standard retail editions elsewhere. But RSD exclusives, those are for people who want to spin them. Would it stop scalping entirely? No, but it would make it wildly inconvenient, and I'm all for inconveniencing resellers. Because right now the model only rewards speed, bots, and people with flexible sleep schedules. Fast forward to Black Friday 2025, Record Store Day Round 2. This time tied to Wicked for Good, another exclusive, another limited pressing. But something was different. Yes, it still sold. Yes, it still appeared on eBay, but the resale prices were reasonable. Not unicorn tier, not mortgage payment tier. Why? Maybe Wicked for Good simply didn't hit the same way musically. It's hard to top Defying Gravity as a cultural moment. Part 1 had the shock factor, the novelty, the massive buildup. Part 2, while still successful, didn't ignite quite the same frenzy. Or maybe the fandom had normalized. The initial vinyl mania had cooled. By then there were so many variants of Wicked on shelves that another exclusive didn't feel existential. Or maybe, and this is the more interesting theory, fans had already moved on to the next shiny thing. Enter K-Pop Demon Hunters, an animated pop spectacle that exploded on Netflix. The soundtrack, catchy, hyper-stylized, memeable, fandom-ready, and not to mention award-winning. And of course, the vinyl rollout followed the modern collector playbook. Neon color variants, character-themed pressings, glow-in-the-dark editions, retail exclusives, signed inserts, box sets, limited splatter variants. There isn't just one version. There are 8, maybe 12, maybe more by the time you're watching this. And now, looming on the horizon, Record Store Day 2026. 2 RSD exclusive K-Pop Demon Hunters variants have been announced. And if history is any indicator, chaos is coming. Because we've seen this movie before. Here's the uncomfortable question. Are we collecting music, or are we collecting scarcity? When Wicked Part 1 vinyl was flying off shelves, a huge percentage of buyers didn't own turntables. That's not judgment, that's observation. The vinyl became a cultural artifact. It sat framed on walls, displayed on shelves, posted on Instagram. The physical object became more important than the listening experience. And record companies know this. They've mastered the psychology of variants, limited colors, hand-numbered jackets, alternate artwork, only 2,000 pressed. It taps into the same dopamine loop as sneaker drops and trading cards. But music isn't supposed to be a lottery system. Ironically, vinyl isn't dying anymore. It's booming. In many cases, vinyl sales have outpaced CDs for years now. The save the record store narrative still exists, but the market is stronger than it's been in decades, which makes hyper-scarcity feel less necessary. If the goal is to support independent shops, press enough copies that actual fans can buy them, make the exclusive artwork the draw, not the microscopic quantity. Because when the scarcity is extreme, the community feeling disappears. Instead of celebration, you get resentment, eBay refreshes, 300% markups, and a sense that the hobby isn't for you unless you're willing to treat it like Black Friday 2009. And that sucks. So what happens next? As Record Store Day 2026 approaches, with those K-Pop Demon Hunters exclusives looming, I can't help but wonder, did the industry learn anything from Wicked? Will they press enough to meet demand? Or will we see the same cycle repeat? Camping chairs, Instagram stories of sold-out racks, and flippers listing copies before noon. Because here's what I know. I love vinyl. I love movie soundtracks. I love the ritual of dropping a needle and hearing a musical swell fill the room in analog warmth. But I don't love the feeling like I lost a lottery every time I choose sleep over a sidewalk. The Wicked Part 1 Record Store Day vinyl is still beautiful, still rare, still mythical. But maybe the real magic trick wasn't the clasped hands on the cover. Maybe it was convincing thousands of people that 2,000 copies was enough for the entire world. And as the next phenomenon rises, whether it's K-Pop Demon Hunters or something we haven't even heard of yet, I hope Record Store Day remembers what made it special in the first place. Community over chaos, music over markup, fans over flippers. Because collecting should feel like magic, not like survival of the fastest.